Rumblings in Clintonville early this morning.
And what's causing them?
Okay. Some Clintonville residents, though, they're speculating, of course. The church's marquee reads, "God is shaking our city. Let's have a revival."
And tonight there are reports of more booming sounds 80 miles away. Police in Montello are now investigating similar sounds.
But so far, they don't have an explanation.
We have a lot of good, reliable sources that reported this pretty much community-wide, and, you know, at this point in time, it is quite the talk of the town. There's no doubt about it.
There was a loud boom, and all the windows shook, the whole house shook.
My front door was being, trying to be kicked in. My apartment was shaking.
For the third night in a row, unexplained ground shaking has leaders in Clintonville scratching their heads. In our big story, city officials remain at a loss over what this could be. Several theories have been ruled out, including water, other utilities, even an earthquake. The city isn't ordering any evacuations, but some say they are considering leaving town. The booms began early Monday morning, continued Tuesday morning, and came back once again early this morning.
People there are on edge. Police say they've received more than 500 calls about vibrations.
The ground is shaking in an unusual way.
Mystery gripping the world right now. Birds, fish, and all kinds of creatures just dropping dead.
For the second year on New Year's Eve, birds are falling from the sky in Beebe.
A mystery in Beebe, Arkansas. Birds falling dead from the sky on New Year's Eve for the second year in a row. Wildlife officials say
no one knows how these dolphins died, but hundreds have been found on beaches in Chiclayo, Peru. At least 260 dolphins washed ashore across a roughly 60-mile stretch of beach. Officials aren't sure what happened to them. An event like this is particularly unusual because dolphins aren't normally found in these seas.
Everywhere you look, you see the carcass of a dead turtle. Small turtles, large turtles, dozens of them dead and scattered along the banks of Smith Lake.
The birds just started falling from the sky.
This is really weird. Hundreds of birds literally just dropped from the sky and then landed on I-95, bringing traffic there to a crawl.
But earlier today, a lot of confusion and concern when birds which were flying in the sky started to crash to the pavement.
There were hundreds of them.
Never ever in my life have I seen anything like this. Crazy. Totally crazy.
Never seen it. I travel this all the time.
But I haven't heard of anything locally like that.
Never seen anything like it.
Something strange has happened in the skies above Britain. Police throughout Scotland and the north of England received calls of a bright light streaking across the sky on Saturday night.
These images over Harrogate, but there have been sightings across the country from Scotland, Wales, the north, right down to the East Midlands.
It was what observers are calling one of the best meteors ever seen in the UK. The object was seen as far south as Devon and may have landed in the English Channel.
Dozens of viewers have said they've seen a massive bright light in the sky in the last few hours, with most claiming it was a meteor.
So should we be nervous about this whole thing?
Well, this is a serious story because the latest round of solar flares captured in this incredible video. Take a look at this. It's from NASA overnight.
The bursts that you're seeing there, charged particles erupting off the surface of the sun. And we saw an even bigger solar flare Tuesday night. Right now, all of those particles are racing toward the Earth, as you said, about 4 million miles per hour. And it's growing as it gets closer to us. On top of that, the problems will arise when the flares reach the Earth's magnetic field, apparently. That's when we could see mass power.
It's like a cloud of birds, but a giant cloud.
It's really creepy. It's kind of like, is the world coming to an end here or something? I mean, it's scary.
The whole sky will fill up with black birds.
But it's crazy. It's scary, ain't it?
How many do you think?
Like a million. It's like we're being held hostage.
Held hostage in maybe a 3-mile radius by blackbirds.
When it comes down, it sounds like rain coming down. I mean, literally, from inside of our apartment, you think that it's raining outside.
What a sight this is. Thousands of dolphins swarm a whale watching boat off the coast of Orange County.
You're looking at hundreds upon hundreds of dolphins breaching out of the water. The unusual spectacle was caught on tape.
We're trying to figure out what caused that flash in the sky in the Northwest Valley. It happened this morning, right here. If you haven't seen it, here we go. During Andrea's traffic report, look, we're going to slow it down for you right there. Look in the background. Looks like some kind of very bright light, almost like it was an explosion or something. Our first thought was maybe a transformer. But we checked with APS and SRP. They said they haven't had any trouble. We haven't had any reports of any explosions either. Here it is, one more time for you in slow-mo. So it is still a mystery.
Here it comes. Okay, release immediately.
Take it away from us, Lord. Take it, Lord. Take it, Lord. Take it away from us, Jesus. Holy Ashiri, Asundari, Ashan. Father God, all powers in your Son's name. Take this up away from our home.
This morning, killer storms.
And those storms are not over just yet. Cities torn apart after taking a direct hit from rare winter tornadoes. They're now bracing for more of the same.
Among the places hardest hit, Harrisburg, Illinois. 175-mile-an-hour winds, 2 football fields wide, left people dead. Homes were shredded, a strip mall flattened, entire buildings knocked off their foundations.
It's just unreal. It's like a war zone.
A somber Saturday morning as hundreds of thousands wake up to sheer devastation. This entire town's all gone, flattened in a flash. This massive storm spawned more tornadoes in one day than we usually see in an entire month.
Here's what we know right now. At least 29 people dead. The second round of killer tornadoes just this week.
95 tornadoes ripped through yesterday. If those are all confirmed reports, this would be the greatest tornado day, one-day event in March for all history.
from a series of powerful earthquakes sending shockwaves through Japan.
That is the same area that was struck last year. There was a small tsunami in that area, and about 3 hours after that, another major earthquake.
But we will see continent-shattering earthquakes. We're seeing now too many anomalies, especially on the New Madrid. The rest of the world is coming apart at the seams.
Wisconsin residents say their homes rattled after explosion-like noises woke them up last night, and city leaders are still trying to figure out just what caused it all. Police phone lines were jammed with calls from a 13-block area. Callers reported not just hearing loud booms, but rumbling in the ground that shook them right out of their homes.
It sounded like somebody was dropping bombs.
What we know from geologists down at UW-Madison is that this is clearly not consistent with earthquake activity.
People in this community won't stop coming up to us tonight, telling us that they're still hearing this loud boom tonight, and then they feel the ground shake just a little bit. Now, this boom isn't coming up from the sky, but rather it's coming from down below.
Aftershock shook Mexico City. It comes after a magnitude 7.6 earthquake struck 120 miles east of Acapulco.
There seems to be a systematic effort to downplay the earthquakes and especially their intensity. And we're now in the realm of lame excuses for everything. You know, it's amazing that people just seemingly take the word of the most pathetic investigative journalism that's ever been seen in the history of the world in the United States.
Tourism and shark fears are mounting as authorities struggle to deal with the carcasses of 7 beached whales on Yorke Peninsula.
An incredibly rare sight.
This is probably once in a lifetime thing that you'll see.
It's really once in the lifetime of the state, as far as we know.
Wildlife experts spotted an 8 sperm whale in distress and close to stranding near Port Vincent. It's unclear why it swam so close to shore and why 7 other sperm whales became beached and died near Ardrossan.
Experts say while it's not unusual for sperm whales to be in the area, a mass beaching is rare.
First time I've ever seen anything like this in the 20 years I've been here.
The public's been asked to stay at least 20 metres away.
New this hour, wildlife officials say some 400,000 fish in a popular Marion County lake are dead, and even more could die off in the next few days. And on top of that, residents say the dead fish in Lake Bryant near Levy Hammock Road are causing a terrible smell.
And we found scenes like this all over the lake.
dead fish as far as the eye can see.
An ominous sky hangs over Sydney. Thunderstorms have been causing havoc in the Australian state of New South Wales. Forecasters say the unusual subtropical conditions, bringing a mixture of high humidity and storms, will continue for another few days.
The city copped between 4,000 and 5,000 lightning strikes as it went through, but without the strong winds to do too much damage. These steamy days and stormy afternoons, the kind of conditions we normally see in February.
It's fairly unusual to see such a long string of days, one after the other, of showers and thunderstorms each afternoon and evening.
This mountainous dust storm late yesterday, a reminder of just how much of Queensland is still gripped by drought.
Overseas now to the Philippines, where a typhoon is bearing down. This is one of the strongest storms on the planet this year. Take a look at the satellite image showing this massive system which slammed ashore just a few hours ago.
As it pushes its way along this coastline, Typhoon Hagupit packs a punch. The eye of the storm is sweeping across the Philippines this morning. In its way, homes, shops and families. Trees are being pushed to their limits as fierce winds lash the coastline. The threat to this city is not just the wind. There's possible flooding, landslides, storm surges, and an active volcano next door.
Today was the 8th consecutive day of thunderstorms, which means Sydney's thunderstorm record has been smashed. By any standard, it's very unusual.
Throughout the afternoon, the latest storm fronts have seen hail hammering down. The northern suburbs and northern beaches particularly copping a battering, enough to turn backyards white.
Wow!
Uma Pekkanen just a few cars behind when the bolt felled the tree onto another vehicle.
It was shocking. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
In Prestons, the shock came from a power pole fire.
See, it's going to blow. Move.
Hey. Så er det morgen. Lad os kigge ud for, hvordan vejret er af Island. Dejligt lækkert vejr. 25 meter i sekundet. Lad os kigge ud.
It's being described as a weather bomb that took many by surprise. Transport was disrupted and thousands of homes had their power cut off in a storm that struck Scotland, Northern Ireland and Northern England.
Forecasters said the sea state was phenomenal, the highest category. It looked it too, with spray overtopping cliffs hundreds of feet high. In Northern Ireland too, police urged people to stay away from the beach, warning of water surges and flying debris.
Waves were horrendous. I mean, the harbour wall was nearly level with the water.
The storm had a huge reach, and its large hurricane-force wind field drove waves higher than 70 feet into the coasts of Ireland and the UK.
But right now, there is extreme weather in the east and the west. A nor'easter is bringing snow, heavy rain, and high winds to New England and upstate New York. And what's called a pineapple express from the warm waters of Hawaii is threatening the west coast with one of the worst storms in years.
Overnight, new footage of a rare small tornado tearing through southern Los Angeles during the rush of the morning commute. Just watch as the wind violently whips palm trees and sends roof tiles flying.
I thought the house was going to collapse. The wind even pulled the door.
The tornado damaging at least 5 homes, leaving residents shaken.
I heard this noise and like a whistling sound, and I heard a big old thunder.
And in San Diego, California Highway Patrol officers handling almost 300 crashes on rain-soaked highways in just 4 hours.
New mudslides overnight and debris slamming into homes and cars. Mandatory evacuation orders are posted in several neighborhoods.
From San Francisco to Los Angeles, pounding rain, devastating wind, and severe flooding. One of the wettest, most destructive storms in recent memory.
I've never seen anything like this.
In wet and windy San Francisco, more than 3 inches was enough to flood freeways and turn roads into rivers. Another home was washed away in Washington state, where the huge waves continue to eat away at the ground.
Booming sound heard in West Warwick and parts of Coventry.
It's a mystery. NBC 10's RJ Heim is digging deeper tonight. He finds the booms have been heard all over the past few years in different parts of the country.
Cars colliding really fast, like 100 miles an hour.
That's how Susan Clifford of West Warwick described the booming sound around 8:20 Sunday night that shook her TV stand and produced dozens of calls to police and fire. What is fact is that these booming sounds are not tied to seismic activity, according to the U.S. Geologic Survey, but have been taking place over the past few years, not just in Rhode Island, but across parts of the country, too.
People just can't stop talking about this mysterious boom heard throughout western New York. Happened over the weekend, just 2 hours before an earthquake was recorded in South Lockport.
The mystery still remains. What was that boom people heard on Saturday night?
It's enough to startle you. Sure, it makes you pay attention.
A series of shakes and booms over the weekend have some people here in western New York curious.
I was in the kitchen getting ready for dinner.
And then boom.
And then boom, yeah. And it's not the first one I've heard, so it really didn't surprise me.
It was huge. It sounded like a jet plane had gone supersonic over us at a low altitude.
But these mystery booms drive us crazy because we don't know what they are. Humans are curious, and when we can't explain it.
Coincidentally, loud booms were also heard in England at the same time the sound was heard here in western New York.